Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer.
Remember that He-Man movie where he suddenly had a twin sister? The Secret of the Sword wasn't just a feature film. It was Filmation's desperate gamble that broke every rule. Today, we're counting down 20 mind-blowing facts about the movie that introduced She-Ra while nearly destroying itself. 20. He-Man was never supposed to be in it. The Secret of the Sword was originally written as a standalone She-Ra origin without He-Man at all.
Thanks for your help, He-Man.
Anytime. Teela, I think Skeletor lured you and your guards away.
Mattel executives forced his inclusion 2 months before animation started, believing girls wouldn't watch without a male hero. The entire script had to be rewritten over a single weekend to shoehorn Adam into Adora's story. Writers frantically created the twin revelation to justify his presence. He-Man appears in exactly 51% of scenes to maintain gender balance demanded by toy retailers. The movie's pacing suffers because they literally had to insert He-Man reaction shots to every major She-Ra moment. Lou Scheimer later admitted this compromise destroyed the feminist message we were trying to send. 19. The 5-episode Frankenstein. This wasn't really a movie, but 5 She-Ra episodes crudely stitched together with 10 minutes of new animation. Eagle-eyed viewers can spot the episode breaks where the animation quality suddenly changes. Each segment had different directors who weren't told about the movie plan until post-production. The voice actors recorded their parts thinking they were making a TV series. Filmation literally glued together episodes 1 to 5 with transitional scenes animated by interns. Theater projectionists reported the film arriving as 5 separate reels labeled "Do Not Separate." The Secret of the Sword was secretly 5 swords taped together. Nobody told audiences they paid movie prices for TV episodes. 18. Adora's backstory was too dark for focus groups. Adora being kidnapped as a baby and brainwashed into becoming a fascist soldier.
To Teela's side I go, on falcon's wings,
Was the darkest origin in 80s cartoons. Test audiences of parents walked out when they realized She-Ra was literally a reformed Nazi who killed people. The original script had Adora personally executing prisoners for the Horde, which Mattel frantically cut. Child psychologists warned Filmation about traumatic adoption themes and Stockholm Syndrome messaging. They added the mind control spell last minute to absolve Adora of war crimes. Several countries refused to air episodes showing Adora's Horde career. The Princess of Power was technically a child soldier with PTSD, but hey, buy our toys. 17. Catra's voice actress refused to continue. Melendi Britt originally refused to voice Catra after reading the character's background as an abused child turned villain. She called the role too emotionally devastating for children's television and quit after recording 3 episodes. Filmation convinced her to return by promising Catra redemption arcs that never materialized. Britt recorded Catra's scenes while crying, later admitting she was method acting trauma in a cartoon. The jealousy between Catra and Adora was originally written as explicitly romantic before executives intervened. Britt improvised Catra's desperate "Adora, please" during the transformation scene, breaking everyone in the booth. Sometimes the real power was the childhood trauma we animated along the way. 16. The animation budget was $7,000 total. Filmation spent exactly $7,000 on new animation for the theatrical release, making it the cheapest animated film ever distributed nationally. They reused He-Man transformation sequences 14 times, just changing the background color. Every character had only 5 mouth positions for all dialogue, including singing. The infamous Filmation run where characters move but backgrounds don't appears 847 times. Animators were given 3 days to create the movie's climax. The rainbow effects were literally Christmas lights filmed through a prism. The secret of the sword's secret was that it basically had no budget. Theaters charged $5 to watch recycled television animation. 15. John Irwin voiced everyone. John Irwin didn't just voice He-Man and Beast-Man, he voiced 23 different characters in the movie, often talking to himself. Recording sessions had Irwin switching voices mid-sentence while other actors watched in amazement. He developed distinct throat positions for each character, documented in a personal notebook. The climactic battle features Irwin arguing with himself as 6 different people simultaneously. His vocal cords were insured for $100,000 during production. By the end, Irwin couldn't speak normally for weeks, communicating only in character voices. His wife threatened divorce if he answered the phone as Skeletor one more time. 14. Swift Wind was nearly cut for budget. She-Ra's flying unicorn. Swift Wind almost didn't exist because animating wings cost too much. The character was penciled out until a Mattel executive's daughter demanded a Pegasus unicorn after seeing prototype art. Filmation solved the budget issue by never showing Swift Wind actually flying, just taking off and landing. Every flight scene uses the same animation loop with different backgrounds. The rainbow wings were added to hide animation errors in the wing movements. Swift Wind speaks in only 3 episodes because they couldn't afford the voice actor. The most magical creature in Etheria existed because a 7-year-old threw a tantrum. 13. The sorceress scenes were ghost-directed. The sorceress sequences were secretly directed by Gwen Wetzler, who couldn't be credited because she wasn't in the Directors Guild. Filmation listed Lou Scheimer as director, while Wetzler did the actual work from home. She directed via speakerphone, never stepping foot in the studio during production. Wetzler's distinctive style is obvious in sorceress scenes, using techniques Scheimer didn't know existed. The DGA investigated but couldn't prove anything because everyone kept quiet. 20 years later, Wetzler finally confirmed she ghost-directed at least 30% of the movie. The most mystical character was directed by an invisible woman. That's either ironic or perfectly appropriate. 12. Mattel demanded 31 new characters. Mattel required the movie to introduce 31 new toy-ready characters, regardless of story logic. Writers had to give every character 10 seconds of screen time and 1 line to justify action figures. The Rebel camp scene exists solely to showcase 20 characters who never appear again. Each character needed a toy moment, demonstrating their action feature. This requirement added 22 minutes to the runtime of pure toy commercial. Characters like Pika Blue and Flutterina were designed by toy sculptors, not animators. The movie is literally a 90-minute unboxing video. The secret of the sword was how to sell an entire toy line in one sitting. 11. Skeletor was drunk. In half his scenes, Alan Oppenheimer allegedly recorded several Skeletor scenes after liquid lunches, giving the character an unintentionally slurred quality. His famous "He-Man has a twin sister" reaction was delivered during a particularly relaxed session. Studio engineers noticed Oppenheimer's Skeletor voice got progressively more unhinged after lunch breaks. The afternoon recordings required fewer takes because Oppenheimer would just let Skeletor flow naturally. His cackling in the final battle was completely improvised during what he called a method moment. Filmation kept these takes because they gave Skeletor additional menace. Sometimes the best villain voices come from the darkest places, like 3 Martinis. 10. The transformation speech had 47 versions. She-Ra's transformation phrase went through 47 iterations before settling on "for the honor of Grayskull." Rejected versions included "by the power of sisterhood," "for the strength of women," and incredibly, "Princess Power Activate." Focus groups of young girls found most versions too aggressive, while boys found them not cool enough. One version had She-Ra saying He-Man's exact phrase, which tested poorly with both genders. The final version was written by a janitor who overheard the discussion. They recorded all 47 versions, wasting $30,000 in studio time. Lou Scheimer's daughter suggested "For the Shopping Mall" as a joke that executives seriously considered. 9. Hordak's origin was censored. Hordak's backstory as a demonic entity who literally ate souls was completely sanitized for the movie. Original storyboards showed him as Skeletor's former master who taught him black magic through torture. His transformation into a cyborg was meant to represent selling his soul for power. The Horde was originally written as an interdimensional death cult, not space invaders. Censors demanded removing all religious and demonic references, turning Hordak into a generic warlord. His bat transformation was added to make him more vampire, less Satan. The darkest villain in Eternia became a pig-nosed robot because networks feared evangelical backlash. 8. The Rainbow Bridge was LSD-inspired. The Rainbow Bridge sequence was storyboarded by an artist who openly admitted being inspired by an acid trip. The swirling colors and fractal patterns were traced from the artist's psychedelic journal. Filmation executives didn't understand the drug references and approved it as whimsical fantasy. The sequence uses color combinations that deliberately trigger optical illusions and mild vertigo. Several theaters reported children getting nauseous during this scene. Animation cells from this sequence were later displayed in a San Francisco drug culture museum. The bridge between dimensions was literally powered by hallucinogens. He-Man went to Etheria via the scenic route through Timothy Leary's dreams. 7. She-Ra was stronger than He-Man. Internal Filmation documents explicitly state She-Ra was physically stronger than He-Man, but Mattel demanded this never be shown. Animation directors deliberately made She-Ra's feats more impressive while having characters comment on He-Man's strength. She-Ra lifts heavier objects, jumps higher, and defeats more enemies, but dialogue contradicts the visuals. Focus groups of boys aged 6 to 11 violently rejected seeing She-Ra overpower He-Man. The creative team called it the testosterone compromise, where She-Ra could be stronger as long as nobody said it. Her sword has more powers because they couldn't show her winning physical contests. The Princess of Power was literally too powerful for the 1980s. 6. The Filmation stock crisis. The Secret of the Sword used so much recycled animation that Filmation literally ran out of unique footage for future episodes. They reused 73% of existing He-Man animation, leaving nothing for the TV series. Animation assistants created a complex spreadsheet tracking which sequences were burned by the movie. The series had to create new transformation sequences because the movie used them all. Some He-Man episodes couldn't be made because their key animations were in the movie. Filmation essentially strip-mined their own content library for one theatrical release. They ate their own tail to birth She-Ra. 5. The international version's different ending. The European version has a completely different ending, where Adora chooses to return to Eternia permanently. This version was animated but never shown in America because it undermined the She-Ra series. International audiences saw He-Man and She-Ra rule together, while Americans saw them separated. The alternate ending cost $50,000 to animate and was used in only 7 countries. Voice actors recorded both versions, confused about which was canon. Some international She-Ra episodes don't make sense because they reference the alternate ending. Somewhere in Europe, She-Ra never left home. The multiverse existed before Marvel made it cool. 4. The Parent Group assassination attempt. A conservative parent group tried to legally block the movie's release, claiming it promoted gender confusion and witchcraft. They filed injunctions in 14 states, arguing She-Ra was transgender propaganda because she transformed. The group's leader called She-Ra a masculine woman destroying traditional femininity. Filmation received death threats requiring FBI investigation. 3 theaters were picketed by groups claiming the movie contained satanic goddess worship. The controversy actually increased ticket sales in banned markets. The Secret of the Sword became the first children's film to require security at premieres. Parents were literally trying to kill She-Ra before she could say, "Honor of Grayskull." 3. The voice actor who died during recording. George DiCenzo, originally voicing Hordak, died suddenly during production, having completed only half his dialogue. Rather than recast, Filmation used audio manipulation to stretch his existing recordings across the entire movie. They pitched his voice differently for various scenes, creating an unintentionally terrifying effect. The famous Hordak laugh is actually DiCenzo's death rattle reversed and layered. His family didn't know his voice was still being used until the premiere. The credits list him as voice of Hordak without mentioning his death. Hordak sounds inhuman because his voice literally came from beyond the grave. The Horde's leader was commanding from the afterlife. 2. The cocaine budget line item leaked. Filmation budget documents from 1985 show a line item labeled Creative Enhancement worth $15,000 that insiders confirm was cocaine for writers. The entire She-Ra concept was allegedly conceived during a 72-hour creative session fueled by stimulants. Writers' room notes from this period are increasingly illegible and paranoid. One writer's memoir mentions snow-powered story sessions, where She-Ra's powers were invented. The rainbow sword effects were supposedly inspired by someone's hallucination during a binge. Multiple creators entered rehab immediately after production wrapped. The Princess of Power was powered by powder. For the Honor of Grayskull became for the horror of withdrawal. 1. She-Ra was dead. The whole time. The original script reveals Adora actually died during kidnapping, and She-Ra is her spirit given form by the sorceress's magic. This explains why she's stronger than He-Man, can't return to Eternia permanently, and has healing powers. Hidden frames during transformation show Adora's skeleton, suggesting death and rebirth. The Crystal Castle is described in scripts as between life and death. Light Hope is written as a psychopomp guiding souls. Her sword transforms her because it temporarily resurrects her. Filmation abandoned this concept, but never rewrote the mystical elements that supported it. She-Ra's power is literally being undead. The Honor of Grayskull is accepting death. This film proved you could sell anything to kids if you added enough rainbows and ignored enough safety regulations. Until next time, remember, we have the power, assuming we survive the transformation sequence. By the Honor of Grayskull, don't forget to subscribe.